Hello all, I'm Kel Kidman, welcome to Breaking On's Daily, where today we're going to refocus a bit, because I spent the last 2-3 days pretty much talking about the presidential election. However, there's more stuff going on, particularly the down-ballot elections, and those have been quite interesting, because recently we have discovered, I think this is as of today, or no, yesterday, Republicans have flipped the Montana governor's seat and have maintained the majority. Now, this is very interesting because the down ballot has been really, really good for Republicans. If you look at what's been going on with regards to the House as well, the Republicans have gained 6 seats already, and not even all the races are decided yet. It's pretty clear that we're having some good stuff. It's definitely not a blue wave. We're seeing a lot of pretty good stuff from the down ballot races. It's looking like I don't think the Republicans will take the majority, but it's going to be super close, like really close. And the amazing thing is that today we also had an article. We've had leaks about a Democrat meeting, essentially, where they were talking about the future of the party, speakership, and that sort of thing, and it was being lively at the time it was happening, and it was completely ridiculous. Pelosi, however, reportedly said that they have a mandate, which, after this election, no, they don't. Even if Biden wins, which I don't think he will, I think he'll lose in court cases, this is looking like not a mandate for Democrats so much as a tepid sort of repudiation of Trump. Even then, I don't even really think it's that, because Republicans have done so well down ballot this election, much better than they were ever expected to do, and going into 2022, they're going to lose so much, because the math in 2022 is much harder for Democrats than it is now, particularly if they do have Biden in the presidency, since the incumbent party tends to lose power between midterms, and considering the position that the Republicans are already in, they will probably take back the House, and they'll keep the Senate, and probably gain some seats in 2022. It's looking pretty good for Republicans all around. So I want people to keep that in mind. No matter what happens with regard to the presidential election, we're still in a pretty good spot, all things considered. So that's just something you need to take in mind. And along with that, we also have California striking down certain really, really crazy ballot propositions. Things like the affirmative action proposition, which wanted to strike out a certain part of California law that disallowed racial discrimination. That got struck down. You have they went against a they went against the independent contractors stuff that California was doing, where they were like, oh, we don't want independent contractors. No, they went against that, which is really great. This is really great stuff. You have a lot of stuff. On top of that, we have another poll saying that support for BLM protests are falling, which is another good sign going into the culture war for the next few years. So be aware. Even if we lose the presidential election, and once again, I don't think we will, especially considering the court cases that are going on and all that sort of thing, we're in a pretty good spot, all right? We still just need to push. We can't give up. There's no doomerism here, okay? No doomers, all right? All the doomers go around there saying, oh, everything's over. No, it isn't. The momentum's still kind of going in our direction in a lot of ways, even if we do lose the presidency. We just need to come back in 2022 and 2024 stronger, better, faster. All that needs to be happening, all right? So keep that in mind. Keep thinking about that all the time. And once again, to get back to the presidential election, now that we've gone through all of that, there is actually a lot of good news, not in terms of the actual current ballot counting that's going on right now, which, by the way, doesn't even matter because all of these states are going to be recounted anyway, and they're going to be challenged in court, and all this sort of stuff is going to happen. It's just keep in mind, any counts that are happening right now, in terms of the controversial states, aren't final. They're not final. Hardly final. But right now, we have the Nevada GOP sending criminal referral to bar alleging thousands of cases of voter fraud. This is just one of the many, many things in terms of the in terms of the criminal and court stuff that's been going on in the past few days. All of this stuff is being updated all the time. It's all coming out and things are happening. We've had another win for the Trump campaign in Pennsylvania with the judge saying that votes lacking voter ID, certain ballots lacking voter ID, need to be set aside, which is a really good sign, because if they don't get set aside, then what ends up happening is they all get bunched up into this one group, and you can't really determine which votes are legitimate and which ones are not. So this is a really good ruling. This is really good. It's a good first step, and we're going to be continuing these steps into next year, into December at least, potentially into next year. And even then, we have even more reports of fraud keep piling up. They keep piling up in Michigan. It's crazy. There's so much, like, there's so many statistical anomalies. You have videos of people showing election officials filling out ballots. You have election officials throwing away ballots for seemingly no reason, or for unexplainable reasons at the very least. You have election officials or poll watchers being denied and having to use binoculars. So many stories are coming out about all this sort of stuff, and we have just so much. But the media is so... You want to understand how bad the media is? The New York Post, which has done good reporting recently, has this amazing thing on their front page, where right next to a story that says Trump wants Supreme Court to decide election, cites unfounded voter fraud claims, literally just a few stories away on the front page. Another story, quote, USPS worker arrested at Canadian border with bin of mail undelivered ballots. Yeah, no fraud, huh? This has been the story of pretty much every news outlet, particularly the New York Post and Fox News for some reason. I mean, a lot of outlets have been calling all of these sort of voter fraud claims illegitimate, unfounded, and that sort of thing. And this is really what I want to talk about. Though the USPS story is interesting, I suggest you actually go read it, because it is a good story. It's well written and all that sort of stuff. The other one it's not very good, as I'm sure you can imagine from my opinions. But what I really want to talk about today, rather than all of that sort of stuff, is how the media is covering this election. Because first of all, they've pretty much removed Wisconsin and Michigan and partially Nevada as controversial states in the slightest, despite the fact that all of these states have ridiculous numbers, ridiculous voter fraud evidence, all this sort of stuff. And, it just baffles me. It has baffled me that all of these outlets have ignored video evidence. They've ignored audio evidence. They've ignored literal thousands of people who have been shown to have voted when they are dead, all for Democrats, by the way. And they're doing all of that to defend Joe Biden. It's so clear. But something I want to say is this does not look like they're trying to steal the election. It just... The more I think about it, the less it makes sense. It's so obvious. It's everywhere. It doesn't look like they're actually trying to steal the election. Because if they were, they wouldn't have whistleblowers all over the place showing that there's so much voter fraud. They wouldn't have all of these very clear statistical anomalies happening at all the same time, where almost 100% of all the ballots that are coming in at one time are all for Joe Biden. We wouldn't be seeing this. We wouldn't see a 50-point surplus of votes for Joe Biden over Trump in mail-in ballots. You wouldn't see that. It's too obvious. Instead, I propose to you this. This is Russia 2.0. All this is a redux of the Russiagate conspiracy theory that was designed to make President Donald Trump look illegitimate. And they're doing it again. They're going to investigate this. They're going to have some excuse to lord this over Donald Trump's head for the next 4 years when he ends up winning in the courts, which I believe he will. It's just... Mark my words. This is not an attempt at rigging. This is an attempt at a to cast illegitimacy on President Trump, as it was before, as everything they have done for the past 4 years has been. This is the same, because they know they can't drag Joe Biden over the line otherwise. Even in elections, like JFK's first election, where there was evidence of fraud or rigging, it was never this obvious. It was never this clear. It was never this clearly able to be challenged in court. Josh Shapiro writing on his Twitter account that Donald Trump couldn't win. Not that he had little chance, but that he couldn't win days before the election. I, at first, thought that was just a Freudian slip. I thought that all that was overconfidence, or just a mistake, or that sort of thing. But at this point, I think it was on purpose. I think that's Occam's razor at this point, because everything is so obvious. It's all so much out in the open. Project Veritas is having releases every hour, pretty much. It is completely ridiculous. So keep that in mind. And that's where I'm going to leave you today. This has been Breaking on the Daily. Subscribe for more. I'm Kel Kidman, and I am out.